Machine guns. Civilian legal machine guns could be a potential in our future. And if civilian legal machine guns become a reality, we are in the correct timeline. Some of the things may suck, but if we have civilian machine guns, then this is the correct timeline.
What is up, you sexy YouTube mother lovers, and welcome back to actually something we don't get to do very often, a video where we get to talk about gun laws and say that we have some good news.
Good news. I love good news.
Have you, as a law-abiding American citizen, ever wanted to own a machine gun?
Was a bear
Yes.
shit in the woods?
If the
Yes,
answer to that
every
question is
day.
no, I would recommend getting your testosterone checked. Machine guns are based. All right, seriously, we don't have to do that every fucking time. Well, there's apparently a few states that are proposing a new law that would allow you to do just that. Now, machine guns are already technically legal in the United States, but incredibly heavily regulated. Half the shit I have behind me on that wall is a machine gun, but I am a 0702 FFL with SOT.
Business. Numbers.
Very complicated way of saying I've got hella licensing that allows me to do that as a dealer. Now,
He's got a bunch of licensing. He has to pay the government for said licensing. And also, you give up your rights, because then the government can just show up and look at your stuff whenever they feel like it. That's what that means.
the average American citizen can still buy a machine gun, but it has to be a transferable machine gun, meaning that it was a machine gun that was registered with the NFA prior to May of 1986. And since that's a very limited amount of guns, they're very expensive, supply and demand and all that. But what if there was a way for an average non-felon, law-abiding gun owner to be able to buy a new production machine gun? Well, good news.
As they should.
New legislation has been proposed in several states, possibly allowing you to do just that.
Several.
Something I'm actually kind of
West
surprised
Virginia,
hasn't
I think.
happened before, but it's exploiting a loophole in the Hughes Amendment to the Firearm Owners Protection Act.
Is it really a loophole? No, it is. It is. Hughes would be rolling in his grave if he knew people were doing this, because Hughes was a Second Amendment hater of the, freedom in general.
Which ironically is the exact amendment that prohibits civilian machine gun ownership of a machine gun that was made after 1986. So the Firearm Owner Protection Act was Ronald Reagan's bill that, was supposed to do just that, protect firearm owners. But unfortunately, a Democrat member of Congress, Hughes, tacked on the Hughes Amendment.
Screw that guy.
Basically limiting the window for you to be able to register a machine gun under the NFA to May of 1986. Meaning that all the machine guns that were on the market were all that American civilians would be able to buy moving forward. You couldn't register a new one. But there's a new bill that's being proposed in places like Kentucky, West Virginia, Idaho, and hopefully soon in Texas that gets around that law in a honestly very interesting way. It's a very new concept, and just like constitutional carry, it might be one of those things that happens in one state and then starts spreading all over the country. Because if there's one thing every red-blooded American wants to do,
it's machine guns.
it's spreading them. Who writes these? Jokes aside, this is actually a very interesting subject. I have not seen a loophole exploited quite this way, and I'm curious to see if this actually has legs. We're going to dive a little bit into the details, but
has
what this
legs
might
if
be
we
is one
give
of
it
the final
legs.
nails in the coffin that finally puts the NFA away. Because if there's one thing I've been firm on in this channel, man, the innuendo's getting crazy. Because if there's one
I'm
thing
very
I've been
firm
firm about
whenever
in this
I'm on
channel,
Brandon Herrera's
it's that
channel.
the NFA is gay.
Brandon was so excited about this next segment, he traveled all the way to a hotel in Alpine, Texas, just to film it.
Isn't that comfy? I'm
I
also
feel
gonna
like
talk
we've
to
seen
you
this
about
hotel
Lear
before.
Capital. You ever
Oh.
thought about investing in metals? Like
We have
precious
seen
metals,
this
not like
before.
the heavy
I
metals
think
that
we've
are
seen this
in all of your food and
exactly.
probably in your testicles. Precious metals are a great wealth protector.
Wait,
they're never worth
hold
nothing,
on.
and they're actually
There's
with
precious
the
metals
growth
in my
the tech
testicles?
sectors. Silver and gold are very, very.
I was
useful
not
for
listening.
practical applications, which is one of the reasons why they've kind of shot through the roof recently. A lot of people got a little scared with the recent correction in the market. I'm not one of them. I still have my holdings, diamond hands. Because with the people I've talked to, especially over at Lear Capital, they're still predicting
I've been investing
$6,000
in
gold
brass
and $200 silver at
and
some point
lead.
in the future. And given the rate of inflation in the last, 50 to 100 fucking years, it's better than the shitcoin known as the US dollar. Because for fuck's sake, if the government does not stop printing money, we are going to be in a very, very bad way.
Perhaps
Somebody
a
should
post-World
run for
War
office
I
and fix
Germany
that.
kind of way?
Anyway, Lear Capital is a fantastic resource if you're looking to learn more about investing in precious metals. I keep trying to tell Lear that if
There's
trying
heavy
to
metals
sell
in my
people on,
testicles.
information and learning
That's
more about
even
investing
worse.
and investing in precious metals, and it's about learning. You should have like a Lear, a Learing Center. So like learingcenter.com, but apparently someplace in Somalia or Minnesota already has that taken. Long story short, it's not too late to invest, and you can download free information from them over at Lear Capital. You can call them at 800-855-7272, or you can go to learbrandon.com.
What
That will
about
be in
heavy
the
metal?
description and
Apparently we
comment
have
as well, of course, and you could receive
the heavy
up to
metal in our
$20,000
testicles. That's what I
free
learned from
bonus
this ad
metals
read.
with a qualified purchase. And once again, for no reason in particular, I feel like I'm going to walk back over to the bar/desk while also thanking SDI, Sonoran Desert Institute, for once again being a sponsor of the channel. We greatly appreciate them. If you ever wanted to get your start in gunsmithing and weapons technology, you don't know where to start, maybe check them out. Links are in the description and in the pinned comment.
So without being too long-winded about it, here's the scoop. State Representatives Chris Rose in West Virginia and TJ Roberts in Kentucky have proposed some new legislation. It's basically exploiting a legal loophole that might allow average, everyday, law-abiding, non-felon citizens to buy newly manufactured machine guns directly from their state government.
As they should be able to.
And this isn't like some of those bills that you've seen where it's like 2A sanctuary states, or like the thing they tried to do in Texas where they said, oh, suppressors are legal as long as they're in Texas. Because then you always had the NFA to worry about, and even though it's legal in the state, it may not be legal federally. But these bills are unique in a way that they exploit federal law. And basically what this comes down to is a clause within the Hughes Amendment itself, basically saying that the ban on ownership or transfer of newly manufactured machine guns doesn't apply when it was transferred by a government.
That seems like a massive hole in this piece of legislation. Why have we not done this before? What have we been doing? Has no one actually sat down and read the Hughes Amendment? How did it take us this long?
Case, the state government. So these state legislators beg to ask the question, does that mean we can just set up a government agency that sells machine guns to the people?
I would like to
some of the
run that
attorneys
agency.
That I've spoken to in a lot of gun rights groups,
I want
the
to
answer
work in
seems
that
to be,
agency.
yeah, probably. Never in my life have I ever heard of anybody trying to exploit this loophole, and I'm currently wondering why it's taken this long.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one wondering
passed.
that.
It looks like it would probably hold up in court. Luckily, TJ Roberts is actually a friend of mine. We go way back to the YAL days. I got to talk to him on the phone a little bit earlier and kind of explain this legislation a little bit. He was, of course, one of the sponsors for the bill in Kentucky. So the way the bill is written, to my understanding, if you are eligible to buy a firearm in the state of Kentucky.
What if I'm about to make the argument for keeping the ATF around? So hold on to your pants real quick. What if... What if the ATF stays around so that they can sell machine guns to civilians until we can completely dismantle the NFA completely? NFA and basically every other gun law. Like, we keep the ATF around, but we make it so they're selling the guns to the people. Because they're also the government. And so under this loophole, they should be able to sell all the guns to the people and chat. The ATF has a lot of guns that they could sell to the people.
Meaning you don't have a history of mental illness, no criminal record, you're not a felon, you don't have a history of domestic violence. All the typical things that you would need to pass a federal NICS check anyway. So as long as you pass all of that, you would be eligible to buy a machine gun from the Office of Public Defense. So if you wanted to buy a full auto AR-15,
office name,
you could do that. And not only would the government be okay with it, they would be your dealer. And not for the inflated price of a transferable. I mean,
the government is already a dealer. How do you think the cartel got all the weapons in Operation Fast and Furious? They're experts at this.
Every day, people buy clapped out transferable AR-15s or M16s and what have you for 15, 20 grand. I was told that this would be for market price plus a $250 transfer fee, which is nothing compared to what transferable machine guns go for nowadays.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
This is cool for a lot of reasons. One, you get to buy a fucking machine gun from the government. Never would have thought that would be in the cards. The other one is there's actually a pretty good argument that this is a good revenue generation tactic for the state. If the state of Kentucky was to sell 10,000 machine guns this way,
Yeah, they could do that easily. Revenue generating, freedom promoting, and also, he might say this here in a little bit, but the more machine guns are in circulation, the more they are in common use, which is currently one of the tests set forward by the Supreme Court. This is like a win-win-win situation if it can go through somehow.
Not unreasonable. You generate $2.5 million in tax revenue just based on the fee alone. It's literally the same argument that people used for marijuana legalization, how much the tax revenue would generate for the state. In fact, one of the things Kentucky's working on right now is getting their state income tax down to zero, and this is one of the ways you could probably do that. I mean, according to Google, right now, Kentucky ended their 2020...
Yo, chat, would you pay $250 per gun transfer to get rid of income tax? Yeah, it would. Yeah, Yes.
25 fiscal year with a $312 million general fund surplus. And so far, since 2018, they've moved their state income tax from 5% incrementally down to currently 3.5%. So there's a chance Kentucky could do the most based shit ever right now, which is not only essentially legalize machine guns, but also do it while taking their income tax down to zero. I mean,
incredible.
If Thomas Jefferson was here to hear that sentence, he would have a throbbing heart. His heart would beat faster because he would be so excited.
Yeah, he would.
Now,
He'd be
currently,
throbbing
the
so
way
hard.
that these bills are being written, it would only work within the state that the bill passes in.
Chad, I have to move to Kentucky.
So if you were to purchase a machine gun from the state of West Virginia,
how much does it cost to live in Kentucky?
Then allow you to keep that in West Virginia. If you bought it in Kentucky, it would have to stay in Kentucky. Now, what I was told was that if you want to sell it to another individual, as long as they're in your state, all they have to do is pay that $250 transfer fee, and you're able to pass that along just like it was a transferable machine gun, which is pretty fucking cool. Now, what I'm not sure about that I think might be kind of fun to explore is if multiple states end up passing this legislation, what if you can get something kind of like reciprocity, like you have for concealed carry, where if you have your concealed carry permit.
Wait, like, so if Texas and Kentucky both pass it, then Kentucky could sell to me because Texas allows it? Yes, instantly, right now. Everybody pass it right now. Call your Texas state somebodies and get them to do this.
In, let's say, Georgia, that it also applies to then Texas or wherever. So if, let's say, Texas were to pass a bill that were very similar to this, then maybe you could actually buy machine guns that were transferred from the state of West Virginia or Kentucky, and then you start building this basically NFA-proof infrastructure across the country in at least the base states. I don't know if that's something that's feasible, but it opens up a lot of very cool opportunities that really weren't on the table before. Now, the big argument from the gun side of things is, oh, well, what's this going to do to value of transferable machine guns? You know, people saying, oh, you...
I don't care. I do not care what it does to the value of transferable machine guns. Even if I had transferable machine guns, that would be a sacrifice I would be willing to make. You're telling me that my $15,000 purchase is only going to be worth like $3,000, but every other future $15,000 to $50,000 purchase is only going to cost a couple $1,000s? Yes. Yes, that is a trade I would make.
Want to end the NFA? Well, what happens to all the value of, people who've, been collecting transferables for years?
Screw them.
The answer is I own several transferable machine guns.
Screw them.
Yes, this would directly impact the value of that. I would lose tens of thousands of dollars in value probably overnight. And my answer to that? I don't give a fuck. It's a stupid law. It shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Yep.
Anybody who's not willing to do the objective right thing, especially when it comes to something like gun rights, a constitutionally guaranteed right, just because it's going to negatively impact them financially, shouldn't be anywhere near the decision-making process. I think it's...
Man, chat. Congressman Herrera actively promoting laws that would lower his net value. This is the kind of congressman I want. Right here.
Cool, and it's another nail in the coffin to the NFA. I mean, truth be told, we've been chipping away at the NFA for a long time now. It kind of started with arm braces, kind of killing the SBR, SBSs, short-barreled rifle, short-barrel shotgun rules. The slide fire, like the bump stocks, were kind of a big hit. And then, later on, it eventually led to the FRT, which is, if you don't have access to machine guns or an SOT or transferables or anything like that, an FRT is a pretty good stand-in.
FRT is the next best thing.
New lawsuits that are coming out right now, there's a pretty good chance the Supreme Court actually strikes down things like SBRs and SBSs and silencers from the NFA. Because according to a Supreme Court ruling, I believe
Hopefully.
from 1937, the only reason that suppressors and SBRs and everything like that, the only reason the NFA was allowed to pass in the first place as constitutional is because you were registering a tax, not
It still should have been unconstitutional, even if it was tax. One of the things that started the whole American Revolution was a tax on speech. And so now they're going to allow a tax on a different right, even if it was allowed as a tax, which is what the Supreme Court said it shouldn't have been. Space pie. I want suppressors completely unregulated. Even the British have that. Yeah, having regulated suppressors is brain dead. Other countries, Britain being one of them, it is literally easier to own a gun if it is suppressed than if it is not.
the firearm. But thanks to the big, beautiful bill, although we didn't get the win we were trying to get, which was the removal of SBRs and suppressors from the NFA entirely, they did remove the tax, which means it's now a $0 tax stamp. So if you're not registering the tax, what the fuck are you registering if not the gun?
True.
So there's a real good constitutional argument to be made there. If the Supreme Court takes it up, pretty good chance we can beat the NFA on that grounds as well. But my point being is it's like a death from a million pinpricks. I mean, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the NFA was just kind of this monolith. You really couldn't fuck with it. But even just in the last 20 years or so that I've been paying attention to the gun industry, I mean, we've chipped away at it piece by piece, and I think this is the next domino to fall. The question is, will it pass? From what I've been told,
If you call your state
probably not this time.
representatives,
These are bills that are probably going to have to be revised and then put forward again at a new legislative session.
if there's anyone in my audience who is from one of these states, West Virginia, Kentucky, someone said Idaho maybe, and you don't call your state representatives, then you get to be the reason why it doesn't pass. If you don't put pressure on your representatives, then they won't pass things. I'm going to call my representatives and tell them that they need to start looking at passing something like this, even though Texas isn't even doing it yet, just to give them the brainworm so they know people want it. I need this. I need this to pass right now, instantly.
But this was an idea that didn't even exist a year ago, and now we've got multiple states starting to come forward with similar legislation. So I think this has legs. I really do. And when one state does it and they can successfully defend it, I think a lot of other base states are going to follow suit. And I already have people in the state legislature that I'm talking to right now in Texas
Of course
to make
he does.
sure
Let's
that
go.
we are one of those based states. Because you have my word on this. If somebody in Texas puts forward this legislation before the state house to try to get it passed, a similar bill to this, I will do everything in my power to make sure that it does pass. We will hold rallies.
I don't know if there's anything I can do as my miniature internet creator, but like, if there's anything I can do to help get this passed besides just like making reaction videos about it, yes. Yes, right now. Give me machine guns. I want to help if I can.
We will publicly call out state reps that don't back it. I will move heaven and earth to make sure that Texas does not get outshined by Kentucky or West Virginia. Nothing on you guys, but we have to have a little state pride here. Yeah, this is something that really wasn't on my radar until recently, so I figured you guys would get a kick out of this because this is the first time in my entire lifetime that it seems like there's an actual path to machine gun legalization, or at least effective machine gun legalization. Would I still like to see an eventual future without the NFA in its entirety? Of course, but you know, little incremental changes we can do along the way to just kind of coast our way there. I mean, this is generational change. Shit doesn't happen overnight. You got to do it one bite at a time, and this seems like a very significant bite. That being said, I'll let you guys get back to your day. I'm excited to do a range video here soon.
Range video.
I'm shooting lately. Kind of had a few
Me
things
too.
going on. But again, I appreciate you guys staying with me through everything. And as always, I will see you sexy YouTube mother lovers in the next video. Thanks.
I need machine guns right now.
One more thing.
Oh,
I'm actually
one
going
more
to be
thing.
doing a machine gun helicopter shoot soon. A couple of friends of mine are going to get together. We're going to film
Nice.
some stuff. Shooting machine guns from a helicopter is something that I've done a couple times before. It's a lot of fun.
I want to do that.
But to help raise a little bit of money for the campaign before the general election, where we have to fight the Democrats in November, we're doing a giveaway. If you want to come out and join me and a couple friends in shooting machine guns out of a helicopter, I've got some personal favorites picked out. Every donation to the campaign in increments of $5 is an entry to that giveaway. So $5 is one entry, $10 is two, $100 is 20.
That's a pretty good
It goes
incentive
towards
right
our
there.
war chest to go fight the good fight, but it also is an opportunity to do some cool shit. So the links for that will be in the description and in the pinned comment.
Fuel is my obsession to make the perfect weapon, like Rasputin's rise to the top.
It goes towards.
Come on.
It goes
Come on.
towards. Fuck me.
It goes towards what now? It goes to what? Oh, machine guns. Machine guns are possible. Brandon said he was going to try and move heaven and earth. If I can just like move a shovel full in help of that, yo, I'm willing to. That's so cool. I hope it happens. I hope it happens.